Okay, let's start off from the beginning. Are you originally from Phelps, New York?
So I grew up in Clifton Springs,
Mm-hmm.
which is right down the street.
Mm-hmm.
So Phelps and Clifton are together. You know, we go to school together. So yeah, basically I'm from Phelps.
So if someone isn't from this area, or someone's watching from Rochester and they
Right.
haven't made their way down here, how would you describe the Phelps Clifton Springs community?
So, our community it's very small, tight knit. You know, everybody knows everybody. Just a great place in the Finger Lakes. So. Yeah.
Awesome. So you find yourself in a couple of ventures. You're the director of a funeral home. You found yourself
Yes.
in the distilling business. So we'll save more of the distilling for a little bit later on. But
Okay.
how'd you find your way into the funeral home business?
So when I was a young kid, my grandfather died, and I was sitting in church for his funeral mass, and I heard the 23rd Psalm, and at 11 years old, I told my parents I was going to be a funeral director. So not exactly what every parent wants to hear, but here I am.
I was just about to say, how'd they take it?
Yeah, not so great, to be honest with you, like, you know, but in the long run they understood and were very supportive, and so
Yeah.
it's all been really good.
So it's been a long time since then, but what about that moment was so powerful to you that you knew that you wanted to do this?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, you know, having a grandparent die was really one of my first experiences in death. And just the curiosity of it. And like I said, there was just that one statement in the 23rd Psalm, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. And something just hit me at 11 years old. So, and that was my focus literally my entire, you know, what do we want to call it, teenage years going in, and what am I going to go to college for? And, you know, I took a different route, sold cars, did a few different things, and finally said, now it's time, went to school. So, yeah.
And talking about this business, how long have you been operating the business for?
So I've owned the funeral home here in Phelps for 25 years. In fact, this is my 25th year.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, thanks.
What has the experience lived up to the expectation, or sort of the idea or the moment you had when you were 11?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all about taking care of people. I love our community. I love taking, you know, when people are in a, you know, they're having probably one of the worst moments in their life, and I'm there to try to help them get through it. I'm not going to solve that problem, but I try to help walk them through it and try to ease their grief and make it something that's always going to be a positive memory. You know, not something that they always look back on as, you know, it was a horrible, you know. You want them to have a good, you know, that they took care of their loved one the way that they should have. And their loved one was respected with dignity. And so that's our goal. That's what we try to do. And we do it, we love what we do. You know, I mean, I know it sounds weird, but we love taking care of people at that time because we know we can help them transition. So
that must be a really important thing too in a small community as well, when you all know each other.
it is very, very important. Yeah.
So you mentioned you had a different path for a little bit. You had a handful of jobs. Was it in this period when you learned how to do some distilling?
No, actually, I learned to distill out here. I taught myself back when I first owned the funeral home. I wasn't super busy. In fact, I did one funeral my first year. So I had a lot of idle time, and I need to be busy. I got to be busy doing something. And so a friend of mine said, hey, I want to make some wine. Can you help me? I helped him make wine, which led to, you know, just him telling me stories. We got talking about, you know, people turning wine into grappa, which they would distill wine. So I was off and running.
So how long have you been doing that for?
So I've been distilling for probably just a little over, I would say about 23 years.
Awesome. So in that, so you mentioned a big part of you for about being the director of a funeral home and owning a funeral home is taking care of people. What do you find rewarding about the distilling process and being a distiller?
Right. So, you know, the rewarding part of being a distiller is I love trying different things. You know, you could walk into any liquor store and there's 100 kinds of moonshine in there. So as I did on the show, I want to do something different, you know. So I found a grain that a lot of people aren't using. The fella that I get all my grains from, Judd at Murmurations, said, hey, I got some triticale, and he explained what it was, and so I tried it and I love it. So, and it's, you know, it's fun to let people try stuff. Most people think of moonshine when you drink it, you know, it's terrible, it tastes like kerosene. Well, that's not what we want. We want people to drink it and say, wow, that's smooth, it's really good, great flavor. So that's our aim.
So talking about the experience on the show, what was that like?
So what happened was I belonged to a moonshiners group on Facebook. It's private. And so somebody posted, you know, the Master Distiller, which I've seen. I've watched the show since it started. And so I applied on a Saturday, and I think they loved the story of an undertaker making moonshine in his hearse garage. So they called me Monday. I did an interview with them. And it was about 3 weeks later, they called me and said, hey, we'd like you in Gatlinburg. And it was about 5 days later after they gave me the call. So I ended up going down there. It was just an amazing experience. I mean, I met just honestly some of the nicest people that I've met in my life. They're all just kind, caring. We're all there for the same reason. You know, they're just awesome people. Discovery's been phenomenal. The judges, Mark, Tim, and Digger, they're awesome guys. I mean, they're no different on TV when the camera's rolling or when it's not rolling. They're just good, humble, good men.
So when you got that call 5 days after your application and you had to go down there, what was the taping process like? Was it something that happened over 3 weeks, one day?
I was there for a week. I was there for a week. Some days we filmed for 14 hours. Some day I had 1 day off, so I was able to kind of get out a little bit, but you know, to check the Gatlinburg area out. But for the most part, we filmed, and to be honest with you, I didn't even really get a chance to go in the distillery itself and look around. I mean, that's how we were, you know, filming and busy the whole time. Yeah.
So when did the taping actually take place? Or you can answer it this way: how long did you have to sit on the fact that you won before you told anybody?
So I was down there December 7th for a week, and so I came back home. It was just under a week. I think I came home the 13th of December. And yeah, it's been pretty tough, so I haven't been able to tell anybody, you know, that, and of course, all my friends are like, you won. I'm like, listen, man, I don't want anybody to be disappointed. So it's been tough. It's been tough.
So the premiere was last night. Now everyone knows. How does it feel that it's out in the open?
Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming, to be honest with you. It's exciting, but it's also overwhelming, you know. I mean, I can literally say that I have been contacted from across the country. Like, this isn't just about Phelps. To me, it was really, I was representing New York State, and I really felt that. You know, a lot of people, you know, I felt like I represented New York State and our grains and what we have here, our fruits and what we have to offer. And really, we live in a mecca for distilling. So I literally been contacted from people across the country, and that's pretty humbling and overwhelming, to be honest with you. So it's great. I mean, and I want to say I love my little village. I want to say I love, you know, the Finger Lakes. I want to say I love New York, but I love this country because think about it, I've been contacted by people across the country. So that just tells me that moonshine is at the, you know, the heart of our heritage, and it still is.
Awesome. So yeah. I like to end all of these interviews with kind of 3 big picture questions. Are you up for it?
Yeah.
Cool. The first thing is, like, if I interview someone from Rochester, this is more of a Rochester question. If it's someone from Phelps,
absolutely,
it's more of a Phelps question. We talked about this a little bit about how this is being a really small community, but what do you think was special about the Clifton Springs Phelps area that allowed you to be successful and allowed you to grow? What was something that's special here that allowed you to be successful?
I think the people here are, you know, the community and where I live, and obviously with what I do being a funeral director, I mean, I just love this place. People are so awesome. They support everything that you do. When somebody in this village does something, they're there to support them. If somebody in this village gets hurt or needs something, these villages, both Phelps and Clifton Springs, we're there to support them. And I mean, in masses, you know, everybody jumps on board. So it's just, it's the best place to live. It really is.
So I suspect I know the answer to this question because we've touched upon 2 things, but if you could accomplish one thing in your career and be happy knowing that you accomplished it, you could take off your coat, hang out, call it a day, what would that one thing be?
I have to be honest, I've already accomplished it.
Yeah.
You know, I've owned a funeral home, and all the families that I take care of, I believe, understand that I'm here for them. You know, this isn't just a job, this is my life. And, you know, I really am pretty proud of myself to say that, you know, I've accomplished what I wanted to, and that was to be, when I say a successful funeral director, one that families trust no matter what.
Fantastic. And this is the last thing. This is more something that I will like ask of artists because,
Sure.
but I can put it this way: it's a really tough thing for anyone to go to their parents and say, "Hey, I'm doing something different than what you expected."
Right.
So, what advice would you pass along to anyone who finds themselves in that position? They're like, you know, they have their family's expectations or, you know, their parents' expectations, thinking they're going to do this, or
Right.
what advice would you give to someone like that who's
That's
in
a
that
great
position?
question. So my advice would be to anyone, no matter what it is, follow your heart. That's the main thing. Let your heart follow you. You know, lead you. Let your heart lead you. Don't ever be afraid to take risks. You know, that's the risks will always, you know, the rewards will always far outweigh the risks. So you can't be successful unless you take risks. Like I said, I did one funeral here my first year. Now we do almost 100. So there was a lot of risk there. Follow your heart, you know, you have to take risks. When you feel like maybe you're on the edge and you just, I don't think I should do it, or if people are telling you, no, it'll never work, or you can't do this, don't listen to them. Follow your heart, and if you put your heart and soul and believe in what you're doing, you'll be successful.